Welcome to Truth Be Told, the podcast about being authentic so that you can live your truth. I am your host, Pierre Kasongo. Today is a Truth Be Told first. I have not one, but two guests today. Together, they are here sharing their authenticity through a speech that they have performed on Toastmasters. The first, Morris Chirka, was born and raised in Edmonton, father of three amazing children. He has a background in the financial sector, leadership roles in various industries, and currently developing world-class courses in safety, driving, and professional conduct. With a passion for personal development and thriving to always grow, Morris is helping people by sharing his wisdom to make this world a better place, one person at a time, because we are all family. In addition, I have Adriana Van der Merwe, a young, curious soul, born and raised in Romania, who lived and worked numerous jobs through the United States and Canada. Life took her to some numerous different paths to teach her and discover her own voice and authenticity, which brought her to the life she's living now as a mindset and trauma coach, nutritionist, and enthusiastic entrepreneur and public speaker. She's here today with an open heart and mind to share her wisdom and experiences with us through a very unique unique storytelling called The Story of a Little Girl, where together with Morris will present us an authentic perspective of what is mindset, how it is formed early in our childhood, and how it is shaping our entire lives. Now, I do want to add a disclaimer. At a certain point, Morris will be yelling at Adriana, but keep in mind, they are in character, which is part of the speech, as they will be playing certain characters. It is not representative of their current relationship. Keep in mind that it is only part of the speech. So therefore, I present to you the story of the little girl as performed by Morris and Adriana.
Thank you so much. Hello, Pierre. Hello, everyone. And good evening or good day to everyone that's listening this beautiful podcast. It's definitely an honor for us to be here to speak in front of such a great minds like yours, Pierre, and your audience. Tonight or today, we're here to speak about mindset, what mindset is, and how can we change our mindset and how we create a better mindset. Morris, what is mindset and why mindset is so important for us when we're talking about creating our life changing, creating new habits, setting goals, and overall creating a better life for ourselves?
Well, we all might have heard that 80% of what we do is mindset. 20% is skill. Mindset is the operational manual for our lives. It's how we interact with people, our loved ones, friends, co-workers, the decisions we make.
To reflect this, I'm going to tell you a story that shows how everything begins. When we talk about creating a blueprint and when we talk about mindset and how mindset is ruling our life. I'm going to tell you the story of a little girl. And I will be playing the little girl role, and Morris is going to play the role of the father. Morris we're talking about this little girl. She was about 5 years old, and she came from a less fortunate family. And because she didn't have a lot of money for toys and to play, she learned how to use her imagination and create stories and creating all these characters. And she used as her playmates different objects from the house as her playmates to be able to play with and create these stories and characters. And as she was so enthusiastic about what she created, one day she created this story and with a song, and she really wanted to share it with her parents. And guess what? Her dad came up the door. And as her dad came up the door, she jumped at you with enthusiasm to tell him all about it. Daddy, listen. Can you just listen to me? I want to tell you about the story.
Will you shut up? And that is how trauma is happening. Trauma is what happens inside of you. What actually happened versus what is interpreted. This is where her identity was shaped. The blueprint of her life. The new mindset of her identity is how to act and interact with the world. Life, good or bad, relationships, and the most important part, who should she become? How to handle decisions in every aspect of her life. Adriana, do you want to share some facts with us?
Yes. So according with Dan Gilbert from Harvard, who wrote the book Stumblings on Happiness, he said that 46.9% of our daily lives, we are on autopilot. Morris, can you tell us an example of autopilot in your life?
Well, like driving home sometimes, right? How many red lights did I drive by accident? I don't know. I only know I just got in the car and I'm home.
That's a great example. That's a really great example. And I'm guilty of that too. You see, our brain function in two modalities. One is the autopilot, it's called the default mode. And today we're going to talk more about it and the importance of it. And the second one is the direct mode. You know, the conscious part of your brain when when you focus on one task at the time and you kind of all the space and the time around you just disappears. That's the direct mode. But I want to talk more about the default mode, this autopilot, and why do we need the autopilot? You know, the autopilot, I will explain you more about it today. It has the positive and the negative sides of it. And we need the autopilot. So our brain has a system called RAS, Reticular Activity System. So this system, imagine it's like a strainer, like a sieving. It's sieving the information that comes outside from the environment and from inside of our body. They say there's like 8,000 stimulants daily that comes from inside our body and from the environment. So imagine that's a lot of information that our brain has to process. Because of that, the brain is very smart. So he's sieving the information. So he's just getting the information that we needed and the information that is necessary for our survival or for things we need to do or we focus on. So the importance of this, the positive part of the autopilot is imagine if you have to think and be conscious, aware of every single thing you do every day, from the little things like you wake up in the morning, which food you take out from the bed and move. You know, like when you have to lift up your hands, when you have to go to the bathroom and brush your teeth. I brush my teeth and I'm already planning my day. So I'm doing many things at the same time, do your coffee meanwhile you dress or things like that. Pierre, think of that you need to be conscious about you breathing in and out. That, and then you don't have time to think of nothing else. So that can be really very exhausting for us. And that's a really benefit of us. Having that. Another benefit of it is when we recall memories. So our brain function is one of the function is to create memories. As an example, when you touch something hot, your brain made a memory in that moment, and afterwards, you don't have to think that you don't have to touch that thing. Your brain is actually recalling the memory for you not to ever repeat that again. So these are the benefits that we have to help us, to protect us, and keep us safe. But let's talk, now that we understand this importance of this default networking, that's how the researcher call it, let's talk about the negative sides of it, which is the main subject I want to focus today on, and how we can change that. Morris, let's talk about the non-beneficial side of this autopilot, and how can we change it to serve us better?
Well, the negatives are like the identity I had created over the years didn't let me take the risks, right? Not going for that job opening, not trying new things. Biggest one, doubting myself. In the end, not becoming who I meant to be, right? Not living my truth. Do you remember the story of the little girl?
Yes, so you see how, as the stories showed, that certain events in our life mark us and shape us, and not in a positive way, unfortunately. So this little girl grow up, have a life, do her thing, and then she learned that being herself is not enough. She learned that having a voice and her words are not valuable. Also, she learned that she has to act and behave in a certain way in exchange for the attention and the love that I think we all seek of, doesn't matter child or adult. So she had to create this blueprint. This is how she created her blueprint in exchange for the things that she needed as a human being, to be seen, to be loved, to be heard, and to be accepted by people around her. And this blueprint, in one way, is protecting her, but in the other way is keeping her, for showing her true potential. Morris, I have a question for you. What are the most two powerful and used words that we all say to ourselves and others every day?
Free lunch.
No.
Okay, I am.
Exactly. So see, I personally confess that I use this word and not in my benefits. I give you example. I'm not good enough to be on a stage, to speak on a stage in front of people. I'm not lovable or likable. Why people should listen what I have to say? And the worst one, that I'm still struggling with it, to be honest, I am an imposter. Who I am to speak in front of people and to be a public speaker. Morris, what will be yours?
I'm a loser, right? Can't do things, right? I'm not capable of learning anything, right? Every time I try, I feel like I'm a failure. I'm not worthy of success. It feels like whatever I do, it just slips away. But here's one thing I discovered, though. The thing is, those are learned thinking patterns.
Okay, so if they are learned, how do we unlearn them?
We don't unlearn them. Instead, we create a new identity to replace them. Let me tell you a quick story.
Okay.
Are you a cow or a buffalo?
Excuse me? What did you just said?
Okay.
Oops.
Before I get in trouble here, hear me out, okay? All right. In this field, there was a buffalo and a cow and a buffalo. In the distance, there was this storm. The storm is the circumstances of our lives, the problems. So as soon as the cow saw the storm, the problems, it's like, oh no, I gotta get away from it. Turns away from the storm and starts running. But the thing is, the storm, they're big, they're fast, and it's coming up to the cow. And the cow's still running up, and the storm gets over top of the cow, and the cow's still running to get me out of here. And eventually the storm passes over. The buffalo, on the other hand, it's like, I see you, storm. I see that situation. I see that problem. Takes its ground, understands its truth of who he is, holds firm, looks at the storm is coming closer. and closer and closer. And then, as soon as the storm is right above the cow there, the buffalo just charges the storm and gets through to the other side that much quicker. So let me ask you this. Are you a cow or a buffalo?
First of all, thank you for not calling me a cow, because we're going to have a problem later with that.
Uh-oh.
And okay, so how one becomes a buffalo?
By being deliberate in your thoughts. Just like the buffalo, you acknowledge your limiting beliefs and become more conscious of your thoughts and face it head on.
So it sounds like I have to see my limited beliefs and face them to create a new identity.
I actually have a better idea.
Hmm.
Instead of seeing them, let's write them down.
Oh, I heard about this before. They say when you write things down, they are like 30% more chances to actually become reality. So if I see them, then I know how to deal with them differently.
Yes, by writing them down, you see them, you read limiting beliefs, and the more you see them, that's when they start losing their power.
Okay, so let's make this exercise. We use it as a tool to help us to become more aware of this mindset that we have until now and how we can create it. So I'm going to ask you, what are your beliefs?
Here, let me just start kneeling down and start praying.
No, silly, get up. I'm not talking about that kind of beliefs. I'm talking about your beliefs, what you say to yourself every single day, and is not in your benefit.
Ah, I see. No one likes me. No. Pierre, do you like me? Anybody?
So
I like you. Trust me, buddy. I like you.
One person likes me.
So you see, this is your default mode. Now that we know what your default mode, now we can create a new one, a new mindset. How can we do that? I have 3 powerful questions that will help you to become aware of this limited belief and this mindset that you had until now. Will be like, I can ask you, what is costed you to have these beliefs?
Cost me? Let me go check my bank statements.
No. I'm not talking about that kind of cost. But you know what? To be honest, I think it costed you quite a lot financially too. You could be more rich and wealthy by now if you have a different mindset. Just saying. But let's have these 3 questions. Number 1, it's like this. What this limited belief costed you in your past?
I was not popular. No one wanted to hang out with me. And because of that, I lost opportunities. I even lost relationships that I wanted to go, but I couldn't.
Yeah, that doesn't sound too good. Okay, number 2. The second one is what is costing you now in this present moment to still keeping this belief.
Not taking that risk. Feeling stuck in my lifestyle. I'm not happy.
Yes, I get you. And the question number 3, $1 million question. If you continue to think this way and you're not evolving from this mindset and this belief, what is going to cost you in your future?
Well, so how do I change this limiting belief of no one likes me to what?
You can say the right people loves me.
Okay, I get it. So, for example, is if I'm too old to start over, I have now, like I said, I have plenty of time and lots of experience that I can use for my benefits and others.
That's a great example.
So, Adriana, it sounds like what you're saying is it's not an event, it's a process.
Definitely, it is a process. Remember, majority of our beliefs come from our parents, from our setbacks in our lives, from bad relationships and this, not so relationships and absolutely not that great, not that great decision that we took in our life. But most of it, the interpretation of the experiences that we had through our life.
Remember the story of the little girl? Now she is 30 years old and getting back together to chat about the past. Hey, daughter,
Hi, Dad.
remember that time when you were about 5 years old and I came in the door and I snapped at you and yelled at you?
Hmm. I could never forget about that day. I always gonna remember when you yell at me and you told me that not to sing. And to be honest, I never sing since then.
Oh, no. I'm sorry you thought that way. I never told you I don't like your singing. I love your singing. And I miss it.
Hmm.
I had a rough day at work. The drive home was hectic, and I had this massive headache. When I got home, my head was hurting so much. And instead of me telling you about my headache, instead I snapped at and yelled at you.
Hmm. So it never was my fault?
Never, never. So the conclusion of the story is what exactly happened versus how she perceived it.
Because trauma is not what happened to you, is what happened inside of you. The secret to reset your mindset is the way you think, what you say to yourself every single day when you think about yourself. I leave you with this. You have two choices. You either continue to repeat what you're doing, or,
Or you're going to evolve from it.
in conclusion, I want to share and leave you with this. One of my favorite quotes from Wayne Dyer. He says, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at changes. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was amazing. Morris and Adriana, thank you so much. There's so much to retain from that speech. And like one of the things that really took to me was just like the cost of the cost of having this negative mindset. Opportunities can be the biggest, no, the biggest cost. Like I even get at loss for words because it actually happened to me, and that hit me hard. Like that, I can tell you the biggest regret that I have in my life is the things that I didn't do.
Yeah.
And because of a negative mindset. Like, Adriana, what else would you say? Like, have you ever had like a negative mindset where it cost you some opportunity, like where you had like a major cost?
Definitely, so many. I look at through, the past 37, 38 years old, and it's just the last couple of years I'm learning how to say yes to myself and no to other things. And saying yes to myself is means saying yes to opportunity that actually benefit me.
Yeah.
It's so important that to look at, if you look at something that kind of attracted you, or that you like feeling like you would you like to do, which what I'm doing now, public speaking, coaching, and all these things. To be honest, I never thought I'm capable of doing it, even if I maybe ever dreamed of them. And I always said no because I was terrified, because I thought that I'm not capable of, because of all the, the little voice inside me that was telling me not to do those things, because I had the old beliefs, which wasn't mine beliefs. And I lost a lot of opportunities and time too, because time is the most precious things. Without time, we don't have nothing, and not time, we cannot recover it. Money, you can make more. Time, you cannot make more.
Yeah, time actually is, I think, the most precious currency out of anything. You could get your money back, absolutely. Time, like it only goes one way. Like you cannot get it back. And another interesting statistic was that your mind about your mindset. 80% to 80% actions, 20% skills. How do you think that this is a question that I will ask for both of you. How do you think that your past actions have defined you to become better people?
That's a very good question, Pierre. And before I say how it made me a better person, I just want to say a lack of action is just as dangerous, if not worse. Because we don't take that action. Hey, there's a great job opportunity. Who wants it? I really want, but I don't believe in myself. Hey, who wants to go camping in the mountains? I don't know if I could do it. So there's all these great opportunities that we miss because of lack of action. So last year, this one coach said to me, you need to watch the movie Yes Man by Jim Carrey. Not once, but twice. And because of that, say yes to opportunities. What's the worst I could say? No. And because of that, I decide I'm going to try stuff. I'm going to say yes to that. I'm going to say yes to that. And what I noticed is that fear inside of me started to fade away. And because if people said no, it's not like they're going to grab a knife or take me out back and beat me up. No. 90% of the time, I got a yes, which now excites me. It's like, okay, now I'm embracing for opportunities to come. Because I know if I say yes, it's going to take me to that next level.
And for myself, oh God, I can tell you this. The last couple of years, I said yes to a lot of opportunities that I was terrified. And because I said yes, you know what happened? More doors start opening. More ideas I start having. More connected I get with myself. And like things, opportunities appear just from nowhere, this. And then things like people call us like, oh, do you want to speak here? Oh, do you want to say this? Or do you ever think about this? And then myself, I'm more open to be more creative and be more authentic with myself and not judging my own ideas, you know? Well, now when I have idea, instead of saying, oh, no, that sounds too much. That's, that sounds crazy. It's nothing that I can do. And now I ask, now I'm like, maybe how can I do that? Instead of, I don't think I can do that. Now I ask, how can I do that? And it's absolutely mind changing life for sure.
And I want to say this quick little add on to that. If it wasn't for the fact that we said yes to Toastmasters to develop ourselves, we would not be here because of Pierre asked us.
Thank you.
So I thank you for this great opportunity.
Yes, thank you.
Well, you have a story to share, and like we're all challenging ourselves. We're all opening the doors to to speak our minds and share our stories. That's what this podcast is about. And like today, while expressing mindset and trauma, like how did you get inspired by the story of the little girl?
Because that was my story. Because that was my real story. Put it in a nice way. My story is much deeper and much harder and heavier than that. I put it in a really easy way, more digestible for everyone to understand. But coming from a communist country where woman was man was above woman, and where was coming from a culture where I was brought up that woman has certain duties and man has different rights than a woman. When you grow up in a patriarchal culture, you learn that you don't have to have a voice. You're not allowed to have a voice. You're not allowed to speak your opinion. And growing up like that, that was my normal. I never knew that I can have an opinion or I'm allowed to speak and share what's in my heart without being scared that I will be punished somehow. So that's what is actually coming from. That was the root of the story. But I wanted to make it to be everybody to find themselves somehow in this story. It doesn't have to go that deep, because trauma, like I said, trauma is not, a lot of people when they hear the word trauma, they think like really heavy stuff, like the capital T traumas, like abuse physically, verbally, all this like heavy stuff. But traumas can be little traumas, like the one I mentioned in the story, which, one single time or repeated times, your parents, they weren't there for you. That doesn't mean your parents were bad. Or they did what they did with what they could, with what they had, of the best of them. So it's important to understand that we all have these little things that happen in our lives, that when you're a child, your brain is not developed to be able to process what's happening with you. So then you take it, everything that is your fault, and you grow up with that mentality in adulthood, that it kind of restricting you from actually showing your true potential, because you've never been allowed to speak, to show, to express who you are. You learn just to be put in a box, being labeled. So that's where everything comes from.
Yeah, because I was also reading a bit about trauma a bit prior to this podcast, and there's this book called Trauma and Recovery by Dr. Judith Herman. She said that the common denominator in psychological trauma includes the fear, like helplessness, and fear, and that's typically like intense fear, helplessness, and loss of control. I know that. So those are some of the things that are typically featured in trauma. So everyone. So the scenarios of what causes trauma all differ, especially since I think you've mentioned there's what was it, 8,000 stimuli, something like that in the
your brain perceive. The stimulus that come from outside of your body and from your inside of your body. I give you example. Now that you're sitting, you're not focusing on the feeling that your feet's touching the ground, or how your body is touching the couch, or how you're touching your face. You don't focus on those little things. If you had to focus on those things, you take you away from you actually from the conversation or from what you were about to say. So these little things that your brain know how to sift it and separate them. Imagine that reticular activity system, that's how it's called. Imagine it like like the bodyguard, or what's it called, the bouncer at the in a club. He sits there and he was allows information to come. It's like, this information is important to her. Okay, I let them in. The rest, get out, stay outside. So that's kind of how it is.
From that trauma, how does one
cope
from trauma?
So myself, like, I didn't have such a traumatic experience as Adriana. However, trauma comes in a lot of different shapes or form. The biggest one, and what I found is, honestly, is the truth. The truth of me trying to not be a people pleaser. Because when I try to be what I think, what the other people think I should be, when they don't even know who I should be, it's living a lie. And we all heard the truth will set you free. So what set me free is to live my truth.
Yeah.
And so how do I do that? First of all, find out what I like. Well, Morris, I don't know what I like. What do you not like? Right? If I don't like that, I look at the opposite direction. Okay. And eventually you start to discover what you like and don't like. And when you find what you like, here's the hard part I found for myself, being a people pleaser. You have to let go the things that do not make you happy.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
And that's including people, as hard as it may be. It doesn't mean you don't have to stop loving them.
Mm-hmm.
Like we have something, maybe some parents or relatives, right? Or close friends that we grew up our life. It doesn't mean you have to hate them. No, no.
Mm-hmm.
Where you put your focus is where your energy goes. Where your energy goes is where you grow. So when I put my focus on what makes me happy, next thing you know, that fear, that stress and anxiety starts to melt away. My brain fog clears away. Now I'm able to see clearly for opportunities.
I went through that about like years ago, and it was like a weight came off my shoulders, and I never felt like so much tension off my shoulders. It was as if I just was being just me, but more so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that feeling where you get to say that that hey, at times, you can't, you just have to be, you really have to be just you, but this, yeah, but you can't always make like 100% of the world happy. Sometimes you have to say it, but
Yeah.
that, I have to do what's right for me. That's a relief.
It is.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
And it's not that hard, we
Yeah.
complicate things so much
Mm-hmm.
in our head. And when you actually look at the things or you do it, then you're like, why did I stress so much about it? It wasn't so hard or it wasn't so complicated. It's just everything is happening here more than outside.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw something at you, Pierre.
Okay.
Because for myself, it's what I found. I didn't have many friends growing up. I try to be like,
You and I both.
yeah. So maybe you might be able to relate with this.
Mm-hmm.
You try to be like what they think what you should be like. So therefore, you're not 100% confident, not even 50% confident in being who you are to them.
Mm-hmm.
So what I found was then is that when I be who I want to be, I now, instead of me trying to find people, people are now attracted to me. So instead of chasing people, be your true self
Mm-hmm.
and people will come to you.
We had a slightly different growing up thing. Like they wanted the kids in my grade school, like around junior high school, wanted me to be someone different. And I refused. Like they wanted me to dress up different, look different, talk different. And I refused. And then I got bullied.
Mm.
And the one thing that didn't happen, I didn't, I didn't fight back because I just knew that somehow it would just be spun into like, oh, wait, yeah, he was the aggressor. And what happened is that socially, I became disconnected from a lot of people. And then when I started high school, I went to a different one, and it was a new beginning. I started to reopen up a bit more, and later university, and yeah. But when I had like later on another new beginning in life, it was like after university, I was just kind of the lone traveler, started doing my own adventures, and really enjoyed it.
Wow. Thank you,
Okay.
Pierre.
Uh, it was tough, but it made me resilient.
Hmm.
And that's a great asset to have in life.
Yeah,
It grew you.
it did. I would say this: the only thing I regret is not opening up to my mother.
Oh,
She knew that she kind of sensed that I that I had something, that was something that was going on, but I never opened up. In fact, she could see that that it was not okay, because all I kept saying that at school, as everything was just, well, it's fine, it's fine, but she could sense that nah, it wasn't.
Yeah.
But years later, I opened up about the things that happened,
hmm.
and yeah, it's
And you
when we
did fix
talked about
it.
it, she just wished that I had her and I both wished that I had opened up sooner. But it's
Important is that you did it, and in the end you did what you wanted to do. In the end, doesn't matter if it's sooner or later. I always say this: it is what it is, because it cannot be any other way, because
yeah,
that's all what happened.
those are kind of older ones, but it's you have to find but you have to at some point find just a way to recover and have some support.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always important to not go through a healing journey by yourself. Doing this by yourself is not easy.
No.
It's doable. Nobody says doable, but it might take longer time and it might be harder. And instead of, you can have people that they can be there for you, help you in many ways.
Yeah, because there's some people just will open up and get it out on the table, and some people will suppress it. But then the worst case scenario is that it will just act like nothing is happening. The problem is that's sort of suppression, and then years later, it just bursts out in a very ugly way.
Yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's one thing I want to mention here too, as well, is that no one's ever alone. Yes, we might feel alone, and it's crazy how many people in a population, like we live in a city with 1 million people, how you can feel alone. The reason why we feel alone is we don't reach out.
Yeah.
And yes, for some people, that is the hardest thing to do. To everyone's listening, this is what I recommend, and this is from personal experience. Reach out.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you reach out to somebody that can help you, and I mean, find a good quality person to make sure, they say garbage in, garbage out.
Uh-huh.
You want to have a good person, a good community to help you. Because when you have that support system, they're there to find your strengths and help to use your strength to grow you. And your weaknesses, that's what they're there for. They're there to kind of to
Hold you.
hold you. Exactly. So if you don't mind me saying here, if anyone wants to reach out, there's a great coach right here.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, speaking of that, you are a coach right there. You know what? Tell us a bit about that, like how you've been a coach.
It's a journey. It's a journey that it didn't start long ago, say officially, but unofficially, I've been doing this for most of my life. I learned to, because I wasn't allowed to speak too much, then I learned to listen a lot.
Yeah.
And when you learn not just if the other person felt heard, which is a very important thing, but in the same time, you learn how other people go through, how they go through. You learn from other people's mistakes, and then it's a win-win for everybody. It's good for other person to feel that they are listened. Sometimes the best healing is just to speak. The other person is to speak, and you just listen and shut up and don't say nothing. Sometimes that's all you need to do as a coach. Sometimes if I say I give you the secrets from the house, the best thing is not as a coach, as a friend, as a husband, as a wife, as everything. Ask questions. Don't assume. This is the thing I always been taught by my coaches and my mentors. Don't assume. Ask questions and see where they're coming from. Ask them what really happened to you, not what you think they might happen to them. And when you become a very good active listener, your job is much easier. That's the most important thing.
Oh my. Do you know how much you are preaching to the choir? That is an epic lesson. Not enough listening.
Yeah.
There's so much time spent where we talk over each other, and because of that, the message gets lost. We need to take just a moment where one side listens and the other side is talking. Just take a moment, listen to the other person, understand each other. This way, the message is going to be so much clearer, and you're not going to assume anything. You're not going to miss out any details. Everything is going to come out so clear. Thank you so much for saying it. Someone had to say it. Yes. Thank you.
And I tell you this, why you think God gave us 2 ears and only one mouth? Exactly, that's why. Listen more and keep your mouth shut a little bit more, and it will make such a huge difference, because in the end is a human need to be heard, to be seen, and to be accepted.
Yes.
Whatever that means in that moment of every single person.
Yeah. And a basic, very basic need and value, we need to be kind to each other.
Yes.
We are fighting each other over very irrelevant issues. We are fighting each other over topics that have no that are really a waste of time. We get shocked or outraged for the sake of being outraged.
Yeah.
We need to get back to the ideas of love thy neighbor, building bridges, and just talking to another.
I have a core statement I made up many, many years ago, and I hold this dear to my heart. When we all help each other, our own needs be met. And it's not that I'm doing something because I want my needs to be met. It's the fact that we are all family.
Uh-huh.
It's called karma, or however you want. Hey, I helped that person because that person ran out of gas. Actually, true story. I helped this person because they had no gas, and they're on the middle of the highway, minus 35, middle of the night. It was cold. I helped them got gas. Guess what? A month later, I run out of gas on the highway.
Yeah.
And within 5 minutes, somebody came and picked me up and helped me.
Mm-hmm.
That, again, we're all family. When we all help each other, our own needs will be met. So why tear each other down? Instead, let's lift each other up. Because when we lift each other up, we all win.
There are still good Samaritans out there. You know, like I just made that plea that let's be nice to each other. And I said that, there are, that we need to stop fighting amongst each other. But on the good side, we have to think also on the positive. There are still good Samaritans out there.
Yes.
There's still, so we can always wish for the positive.
Absolutely.
But that being said, there are 3 critical questions that I have for you. The first one is, what does living your truth mean to you?
All right. Living your truth to me means, can I touch on it earlier? I used to be a people pleaser, and me trying to live how other people think I should live, when in fact, live to what makes you happy. Live to what brings you life. There's either life or death, joy or sadness. What brings you to what makes you happy? Because what makes you happy is what brings you truth. That's what brings truth to me.
For me, it's very similar with what Morris said. It's living the truth. It means to be authentic to yourself, to understand, first of all, to who you are, who you truly are. You cannot be true to yourself if you don't know who you are. So by starting in this path, is in this journey as myself, is finding who I am, what I want, what I don't want, what I love and what I don't love. And live up to that instead of judging or expecting or criticizing myself and others. I rather just have more compassion with myself and more love with myself, and be my best friend. And that's for me was mean living my best truth.
And for the second question, how does living your truth and being authentic make you a better person?
Ooh, that's a big question. And there's this one coach I met. She was very smart. and Adriana said to me, Morris, every morning when you wake up, look in the mirror and give yourself a high five. Say that I love you to yourself. Because if you cannot look yourself in the eye and say I love you, then you're not being authentic to yourself. So for the first week was really weird. I mean, I couldn't look at myself in the eye. And what happened is, over time, I started falling in love with myself. And as I noticed, I literally go, hey, sexy, how you doing? Give me a high five. Oh, yeah, you're awesome. You're doing it. And I found out that inside changed. The nervousness, the stress and anxiety has disappeared to the point now I have more confidence in doing things in the world and being more authentic to me.
High five to that.
All right, there you go. You
Awesome.
know, you love yourself more. You're even
Yeah.
your own best friend, Adriana.
For myself, being authentic and true to myself definitely make me a better person for myself and the people I can serve. Being authentic, it means that I'm true to myself. I create this more connection with myself that nobody can destroy. Because in this life, you came up with you and you live with you. That's the best. People, they try to have good relationship and they work hard to have great relationship with everybody around them except themselves. But you cannot have a good relationship with anybody else if you don't have a good relationship with you. More authentic of who you are with your good and your bads. In the end, I don't think nothing is good or bad. It is what it is. But you look at yourself and ask, like I do this every day. I ask myself questions. And for me, questions are the answers. Ask myself questions like if this is good for me or not, if this is going to serve me or not. Can I do this? What can I do to serve other people as well? So being authentic of who truly I am, disregard of what the world wants me to be, that makes me a better person. And become a better person, then it makes me more strong or more confident and more able to help the people around me as well.
That's amazing. And finally, what advice would you give to someone who's looking to embrace themselves?
Self-hug. No,
Why not?
I agree. The best advice I wish I would give myself when I was a younger version, or anybody who's looking to discover themselves, basically what I said. Find what makes you happy. If you don't know what makes you happy, know what you don't like, and go through a process of I don't like this, I like this. Ooh, I like this ice cream, not this ice cream. And before you know it, you discover what brings joy to you. And here's the thing, even if today you like something, tomorrow you might not like that same thing. Life is a continuous journey. Be curious. Curious is so important for the growth of life. Ask questions, like you were saying. And before you know it, you're happy. And don't worry about what anybody else says. Because at the end of the day, when you look in the mirror, you only see yourself.
And when you look into the mirror, don't look at that. Look at like he's your best friend. Look at that person and treat that person as your best friend. And every morning when you wake up and you look into the mirror, don't ignore the person. Because if you ignore the person, guess why other people is going to ignore you? When you disrespect the person into the mirror, everybody else is going to disrespect you. You expect people to love you, but you do not love the person in the mirror. What we do, we brush our teeth in the morning and we make a glance in the mirror and it's like, oh God, I look like horrible today. Like, look at my hair. Look at, I have, bags under my eyes. No, that's how you start your day. Then what you expect other people is going to think about you. If you reflect the people that around you, they will reflect what you think about you. So going back to that, my advice to every single person is to create a better relationship with yourself. Ask more quality questions. Ask open questions are open your mind. Statements are closing your mind. More questions you ask with yourself, more kind you are with yourself, then you create that more love with yourself, because you cannot love nobody else if you cannot love you. And the big question I can leave you with every morning when you look into that mirror, ask the person in the mirror, what do you need from me today? And they will tell you. I promise they will tell you. You just have to have an open mind and heart to listen.
Words of wisdom from Morris and Adriana. With that being said, thank you so much for being here. And of course, I know that my listeners and viewers will want to know more about how to reach you, because you have, of course, so much to share to the world. How can we reach out to you and follow you?
Definitely, I think for myself, they can reach me on social media, and we can post all that information on the information of the podcast as well, and email me, and and as well.
Absolutely. Facebook, Instagram, and again, my email, right? Social media. I always love to hear from everybody. Feel free, send a question. Send me what makes you happy. That's one thing I would love. Connect with both of us on social media and send us a picture. What makes you happy? Is it traveling? Is it walking? Is it gardening?
Yes.
Love to hear it.
And we're
All right.
always here to serve and help as much as we can.
All right. Well, with that being said, I want to give a big thank you once again to Morris and Adriana for sharing their story and sharing their truth with us today. And to you, the listeners and viewers, thank you for being here. And remember, stay true.
Thank you.
Take care,
Bye-bye.
buddy. Take care. Bye.
Take care.